Marvis got lit another one.
Yo, what's good, man? You are now back RTTV, baby.
Gang.
And if it's your first time here, definitely won't be your last. Make sure you kill, murder, and
Smash.
that subscribe button, man. Shout out to everybody that rocked with our trailer reaction to the Moon Knight trailer that dropped a couple nights ago on Monday. It has been a topic of conversation here since that trailer's dropped, man.
Facts.
We are super intrigued in this new hero that we're gonna get from Marvel. So much so that we're going to start doing these Easter egg reactions, man. We want to know more about Moon Knight. Shout out to the New Rockstars, man. Shout out Eric Voss and the whole team over at New Rockstars.
Facts.
They always drop dope content, really giving us some background information on everything pretty much Marvel and a lot of other TV shows. So if you haven't, make sure you go check out their channel and go check out what they got over there. But, man, I can't wait to learn more about Moon Knight, man.
Yeah, facts. If I ever see you in a bar, bro, shots on me, bro. Real
Dope
talk.
ass character. I saw a funny ass meme. It was like it showed Batman and then it showed Moon Knight and then it was like the red pill and the blue pill and the red pill was Batman and the blue pill was Moon Knight. That's how you know he's finna be hot, bro.
Nah, I think it's going to be a really dope series, especially from the trailer. But let's see what they caught in this trailer that we didn't catch. Let's get into it, man. Moon Knight trailer breakdown, Easter eggs.
Welcome back to New Rockstars. I'm Eric Voss, and this
Eric
is
Voss.
a breakdown of the trailer for Marvel's Moon Knight, coming to Disney Plus March 30th, with Oscar Isaac playing Stephen Grant, aka Mark Spector, aka Jake Lockley, Egyptian mutant. It's about Ner. Oh wait, no, Oscar
What is
Isaac.
that?
What the hell?
That's
Apocalypse.
Apocalypse,
Yeah.
X-Men won't get sucked into the MCU until Multiverse of Madness, when Oscar Isaac being Moon Knight in this reality.
You
will
heard
be
that?
like the 12th most
X-Men won't get sucked into the
But
MCU
this
to
trailer
Multiverse
was
of Madness.
Hello, and welcome to Staying Awake.
I'm a sleeping disorder. I can't tell the difference between my waking life and dreams.
So the trailer opens with Oscar Isaac as one of his identities lying in bed using an app that helps one stay awake because he doesn't want one of his other identities to take over. He
Wow.
twists a Rubik's Cube at first with just one hand, as if this is a kind of coordination one identity might have that another might lack. Later we see the side that he is closest to completing is the white side, white being the color of Moon Knight's wardrobe, which
Wow.
out of 6 Moon Knight comics from Charlie Houston explained, I don't wear white to hide myself, I wear it so they see me coming, so they'll know who it is. Because when they see the white, it doesn't matter how good of a target I am, their hands shake so bad they
That shit looks fire.
Yeah,
that
this
comic
fit
look
is fire,
crazy. And that concept is
Also,
lit.
the toggling colors of a Rubik's Cube, of course, reflect the toggling of this man's identities. He suffers from a form of dissociative identity disorder. The voice we hear right now is that of his Stephen Grant identity, with Oscar Isaac speaking in a British accent. But on the word dreams, the accent seems to switch to a different consonant pronunciation,
Between my waking life and dreams.
as if another identity is taking over.
Wow, that's wild.
Sentence. In the
Wow.
comics, Moon Knight's primary identity is Mark Spector, the son of a rabbi turned mercenary who ends up possessed by the Egyptian moon deity of Khonshu, becoming the vigilante known as Moon Knight.
Wow.
That's
pretty fucking lit.
On other alter egos like wealthy one percenter Stephen Grant and taxi driver Lake Lockley, but obviously they're switching some things around here. Because here he bolts several locks on his door and puts tape on the cracks so that he'll know if the seal is broken, chaining his ankle to a lock that only one of his identities would know the combination to. The fact that he expects this other identity to not know how to just peel tape off of a door and put it back on. What he's gonna turn it into is a more monstrous one. So we're looking at a real werewolf Jekyll and Hyde scenario here. Steven turns in his bed, reflected in mirror glass that refracts him into 3 forms in total.
Oh,
That's
that's dope.
lit.
That's fire. I didn't even realize that. Wow.
So twists around in fear as if he's looking at a 4th identity, maybe that of Moon Knight, as it creeps in on him. Let's move on.
Wow.
And welcome to Staying Awake.
This is what I want to know more about too.
Okay, here that app service voice echoes over itself as if this is something he has used for countless nights. And then he bolts awake like from a nightmare. But notice how he is now wearing
Different clothes. Yeah, I was just
So
thinking
who
that.
knows if this is a different night or if another identity took over overnight. Just changed
That's all these shit I even know. It's the little things, yo, the
Yeah,
subtle
man.
He
details.
steps in a ring of sand, which he likely spread out to track any entity
Wow, I didn't even notice that.
Use flour to track that demon.
Oh yeah, I remember that. They use that Paranormal Activity.
Adventures of the Soul, Journeys Through the Physical and Spiritual Dimensions. This is a real-life 2014 book by medium James Van Praagh about the human soul, how it fits into this life, how it travels into the spirit realm. So clearly, Stephen is doing some research on metaphysics to try to understand.
That sounds like an
his
interesting
connection
book.
and how his soul is becoming detached from his physical body. Now, the music throughout this trailer is Kid Cudi's Day.
Yeah.
Kid Cudi said that he wrote to deal with his sleeplessness after his uncle passed away, an uncle that he ended things on bad terms with. And the song Day and Night, Nightmare, is his version of the Ghetto Boys' Mind Playing Tricks on Me. The music video
Shit, I didn't know that. This nigga Eric Boss knows his
Wow.
hip hop.
Stephen/Mark/Jake never fully know what's real in their world. On to the next clip.
I'm losing it.
Yo, he be bodying these. Yo, he's
Yeah, I'm like,
bodying.
how
them
does he
right
do that?
now.
And it's so
Yo,
fast, too.
I didn't notice the sand and the shirt switch up. Wow.
Okay, so Stephen runs to catch this London bus. I'm assuming this connects to the shot we saw in the November teaser where his hands hit that bus, except now his hands are covered in these fancy white gloves. He could be finding himself in a new identity as he briefly passed out for a second. Could be the dressier version of that white suit that we've seen in the comics.
Whoa, I didn't know.
Yeah, yeah.
Wow. So they're all Moonlight?
They're different. I think they're different. They're different versions of Moonlight. They're different variations.
That's
so like
so
one's
dope.
like really good and one's really bad.
London, but the National
I've been to that
Gallery
too.
of London has a different architecture. I actually thought this was the British Museum, but if you look at the architecture of the British Museum, that is a completely different building than this. I did some digging. This is actually Budapest's Museum of Fine Arts. They use CGI to swap out that Hungarian for English. We should also be clear, this is not the same museum as the Museum of Natural History where Cersei and Dane Whitman work in Eternals, but both of these museums are in the city of London in the MCU. And I think that Eternals post-credit scene of Dane finding the ebony blade of his family, taking one step closer to becoming
shit.
the Black Knight, and meeting Blade Mahershala Ali could set up those
See, it was his
Wait,
talking.
it was definitely him.
as part of an MCU Midnight Suns lineup. Now, where
Oh, I didn't know that. I didn't know that.
shot under this flirty boss, Donna. I like how he corrects her calling him Stevie by putting on his name tag. Just another example of him having to constantly reassure himself of his identity. And in this gift shop, of course, are surrounded by Egyptian iconography. A figurine of a scarab, a bust statue, and these puzzles. One for the Cornet Marais, that's a necropolis in Luxor, and then another for the Book of the Dead. Oh, yes. The Egyptian Book of the Dead was a funeral text written by priests over 1,000 years. It contained magic spells in order to assist a dead person's journey through the underworld. Now that's real world history, but elsewhere in the MCU, we got another Book of the Dead called The Darkhold, which is becoming hugely important. See,
Yep,
Agatha
because
Harkness,
the
one
movie
vision
coming.
taken by Wanda to seek the multiverse for her children, and now showing up in the trailer for Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, used by Doctor Strange, probably against the Scarlet Witch's wishes. Now in the comics, the Darkhold was drafted by a demon named Cthulhu, who in comics canon initially gave Wanda Maximoff for sorcery, but in the MCU, these two Books of the Dead could come from the same textual history. We'll see. Moving on.
Interesting. That's very interesting.
Between eye and dreams. What's the contact lens?
Hope you find it.
So here in his flat, Stephen hears voices and then looks over at his bathroom mirror, and his reflection flashes very briefly into his fully suited up Moon Knight form, complete with glowing eyes, and behind him you'll notice the pale glow of the moon through that fog.
Oh yeah.
Oh.
Right.
Wow.
When the spectral form appears, the moon shows up with him. This awesome flickering light horror imagery also shows up in the far end of this hallway leading to the elevator, where we see our first clear shot of Khonshu. And
What
Yeah,
the
Sancho,
fuck? I didn't see
yeah.
that nigga.
skull floating off the shoulders, the cobwebs dangling down, a ratty cape.
Nah, you don't remember when he's running through the hallway?
Nah, I remember seeing that image or something.
We actually caught what I think was our first glimpse of Khonshu back in the first teaser, that monstrous shadow lurking behind Steven on the museum floor as he stifled his screams. But here, Khonshu limps down the corridor toward him, his linen wraps dragging behind him, and he grabs that elevator door with that mummified hand before turning into a sweet old woman. Don't trust her, Steven. Steven! Steven! Yes, it is
Steven!
Cooking on gas!
Yeah.
About
After this,
to
buy that shit. Buy that YouTube shit again.
Oh, YouTube,
no
right?
shit, no ads. So I'll definitely use that shit. I'll do it.
Boy got a razor.
Oh my god, you're
actually called me
Teaser
Mark.
showing Steven reacting to his reflections in the display case glass and stepping
And then
forward,
it
but
stood
his
there.
reflections
I
do
never
not
noticed
follow.
that.
Even those two
And there's two of
reflections
them.
between the two of them seem to have slightly different reaction speeds from each other. I think all three of these embody Steven's split identities. Now, the statue in that display case depicts the sun god of Ra on the far left. He has a falcon head. And then on the far right, Anubis,
Anubis.
who has a jackal head. Both of them appearing to mummify Osiris, the deity most associated with the process of mummification. Really, the weirdest things, though, about the shot are in the foreground. First, that crocodile, perhaps a Nile crocodile that you often see in these exhibits, could also connect to that crocodile on the unknown collar screen on the flip phone. Both could be nods to Amut, the crocodile-headed goddess of the underworld. But also, beneath that croc, there appears to be mummified human remains on the freaking floor. And notice how Steven holds his arm as if he has been wounded or bitten. Maybe this guy was doing a bit of grave robbery, tampering with these remains, taking something off of them, and Khonshu's spirit jumped out and bit him. But notice as he steps forward, the shadow that stood behind him before he steps out of frame, after he passes that shadow, it is no longer there.
Oh, wow.
What the heck? These lyrics of Hold the Phone repeat as if the record is skipping until Steven finally uncovers this crawl space containing this key and this flip phone, probably a phone that he heard ringing in the walls and thought he was paranoid, but it actually is a real phone and a key belonging to his other identity, Mark Spector. So the character we've been staying with this whole trailer is not really the main character of the story. We haven't really met Mark yet, which is why I love this trailer so much. I actually hope the next trailer spends most of the time with Mark, who is a badass mercenary who somehow ended up as this pencil-pushing loser in London. How long has he really been this way? Was there some previous backstory that has been erased from his memory where he initially made first contact with Khonshu back in Egypt? And the reason he is working at this museum is to try to reconnect with that spirit.
Yo, this is so fire. This series is gonna be amazing.
Rami's sister Dina on
There's so much detail relative to it, yo.
identify her character name as Layla. Now, the most famous Layla from Marvel Comics is Layla Miller, aka the mutant butterfly, who has the power of resurrecting the dead at the cost of their soul.
Mutant,
She actually
whoa.
makes her debut in the House of M event that we speculate Multiverse of Madness to be partly adapting. And Layla Miller is actually crucial to bringing down the House of M because she uses her power to restore the memories of superheroes, and she helps restore the reality. Doctor Strange even suggests that Wanda Maximoff might have created Layla as a failsafe to help the heroes in case something went wrong. Sure, this could just be like any.
So we're getting an introduction of mutants in this. This is fire.
It would just be really cool to see her play a similar role in an MCU House of M event. So let's move on.
That must be very difficult. Voice.
Yeah,
See, I was
wanna know
intrigued
more
in
about
this
dude.
Yeah, like, who is this dude?
There's chaos in him.
And that was probably Mark Spector.
Yeah, that was probably Mark Spector. Yeah.
Hawk's character, a cult leader that Hawk said he based on David Koresh, leader of the Branch Davidians in Waco, Texas. But the closed captioning identifies him as Arthur Harrow, who's a pretty deep cut from the Moon Knight comics, who only shows up in one issue, a storyline in 1985 where Dr. Arthur Harrow was a mad scientist with a facial disfigurement who works on a way to numb the pain centers of the human body, conducting some human experiments, basing his work on Nazi experiments. Now, Ethan Hawke's version of the character seems quite different, but maybe his motive is the same. He could be a spiritual leader promising people who suffer pain to numb their pain centers. And I'm guessing all these
Borrow.
people kneeling to him in Germany, Loki style. Now, this guy's got the goods. He has some kind of power. Now, this town square does have German signs and a cupcake delivery truck that a major sequence later takes place upon. Those colorful buildings can actually be seen in the background of the November teaser shot where Mark comes to after beating up a bunch of guards. And now, surrounding Harrow are some armed guards that might be part of his cult. That suggests his cult is a militarized one. These guys wear matching jean vests and layers underneath those vests that match the color that Harrow
Yeah, you're
wears.
right.
In the Moon Knight comics, many of Moon Knight's foes had Nazi links since the character's Jewish upbringing was a big part of his conflicts. Maybe Harrow in this show is also rooted in those Nazi experiments.
Oh,
this
what
cult
the
could be on some old Nazi compound in Bavaria. Harrow tells Steven, "There's chaos in you," suggesting he does have some perceptive abilities and can see the demonic possession inside of Steven. And yeah, this is happening in that museum. Could it be by happenstance that they met? Or was Harrow seeking the same thing that Mark Spector, kissed by this demon, is also unconsciously seeking? Then another shot of Steven flipping out while someone talks to him in the foreground. Could be talking to himself. Like this could be taking place.
That could be him, yo.
Yeah,
That really
right.
does look like him.
The side profile
It does look like
looks
it could be him.
Identities have to hang out when they're not in the driver's seat. Then this great shot on the cupcake delivery truck as it speeds down that mountain road, and Stephen Mark J comes to The truck's windshield has been blown out. His face and knuckles are covered in blood, just like they were in that teaser shot. Now that box behind him reads Von D. The rest of the name cut off. And yes, I did lose my mind too for a second, thinking this could be Victor Von D.
Oh! Fucking way.
Which you can see on other boxes in the back. It looks like Von Derelman.
Oh, okay.
Damn.
Transform into Moon Knight mid-fall and manage to stick superhero land.
Yeah.
On to the next clip.
One thing with Blade and Black Knight, that makes a lot more sense too.
Yeah, see them explain this part. Oh, Pat was scared.
And then I'm guessing this is Mark Spector inside of a temple or a tomb. I think this could be part of a buried and semi-forgotten backstory when Mark Spector was still in that identity that Stephen Grant does not remember as his Stephen Grant identity, working as a loser in this museum gift shop. It's going to be in this museum where he reconnects with Khonshu that awakens Stephen Grant to remember that he had this whole past as a mercenary and an Indiana Jones type badass. So he thought his whole life he's been a loser, but through his dissociative identity disorder, he's going to remember how much of a killer he actually is. I love how as we see him fleeing down this hallway, Khonshu's form trails at his feet in the form of that crescent-shaped shadow.
That's so dope.
Embrace the chaos. And then another mirror shot as Steven throws his head back to allow Moon Knight to take over. I love this. You can see the linen wraps assemble over his shoulders, each tiny fiber piecing together. This looks like the bathroom that later appears busted as he beats up that creature. But we actually see a similar moment where this
That was a creature that he was beating up?
Cool to see how this works. Like the Moon Knight identity is mummifying his body to transport him into the land of the dead, but just for the night. And in this exterior shot, some shadowy figure is watching this happen from the lower right corner of the frame. But we end on this awesome shot. Now we did see
Yeah, it's definitely a creature. I seen his legs.
At first I thought it was.
not finished, and now we see what they added in. He's
I didn't know it was a creature.
Supernatural creature with freakishly long legs, huge canine feet, and pointy ears. Now, my first
Is that
instinct
Wolf
goes
by
to
Night?
werewolf, because the MCU is soon going to introduce us to
Werewolf by
Jack
Night.
Russell, Baron Garcia Bernal, in an upcoming Halloween special, it sounds like. But I think a likelier option is this could be a jackal form as seen in The God of the Dead, Anubis. And as Moon
That's
Knight
right,
shoots the
though.
camera, a few of those linen wraps stretch across his chest to hold the crescent moon sigil in place. I love how practical that all is. Actually, this shape looks like the crescent dart weapon that he uses, as we saw in that series poster that I love so much. Now, we're going to be covering Moon Knight weekly when it drops on March 30th, but until then, supporting Rockstar
Weekly.
Wow. That was dope.
Love that
Yeah,
shit.
that shit
nigga.
was dope.
Oh, wow.
Shout out to Eric Voss for breaking that down because he really broke that down to a T.
It's little things too that like I like watching his videos because it's little things too that you just be like, oh shit. Like when he said the VOD and it was like VOD Doom, like it was like, oh wait, so that's gonna have some type of correlation into that too. And then like even him explaining that Shorty can possibly be a mutant and then breaking down all three of his identities and how they actually displayed it throughout the trailer. I didn't notice the mirror shit. Like when it was in the mirror and it was two reflections of them and they all stayed in place and they had different facial expressions. Like this is dope. I think this is easily gonna be the best series of the year. And this is like probably one of the most, if not the most unique superheroes that Marvel has created because he has an identity disorder.
Yeah, Disney, like, watching these make me have a stronger appreciation for Marvel movies because of all the details that they take into account to not only foreshadow upcoming series and movies, but also to foreshadow things that's going to be coming in the series in itself. Like, I love the fact that they could play on a lot of different things because he has that personality disorder. So there's all these little things that hint off of, like, who's in this body currently right now. You're always going to see the multiple reflections to indicate that there's multiple of them. And I love that right there. So much subtleties within the details.
I love the attention to that's what I love. I love the attention to detail. Like this guy, he's having multiple disorders, personality disorder or whatever. And you see that everything around him, it's not just his characters, the books he's reading, is like where he works, and I love how what's his name, Eric Voss. I like how he broke that down because I could see that when it comes to building this series, everything matters in the frame.
Exactly,
you know what I'm saying?
yeah,
Like that, it's not just the character they're building; it's everything, and that just makes me look forward to if they are doing a House of M event, like you know what I'm saying, or they are putting the Black Knight, which is Jon Snow's character, or whatever. With Blade is like that. That makes me look forward to what's gonna happen in the MCU. I'm done with the Avengers movies. I really want to see the next phase and like how they're gonna adapt Moon Knight, all these characters that I don't really know, because that makes me more interested in getting to know these characters and how they're gonna equip them in the MCU.
And it's creepy too because a lot of his information be on point. Because once he said the Blade and Black Knight thing, we thought that it was Blade, right?
Yeah.
We thought that it was him, right? Yeah, you said it, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, I didn't know that he had a team. It was Moon Knight, Black Knight, and then Blade. I didn't know that was a team. If that's a team, that's fucking fire. Just because of Moon Knight, I don't know anything about Black Knight, but because of Moon Knight and Blade, I'm like, wow, they have a team together?
Yeah,
Wow.
the attention to detail, the historical context that this gave us into like the character and what's built this character was fire. And like what this breakdown really got me thinking is like, I'm really happy it's a show and not a movie. Because I'd rather get 6 to 7 episodes where they can actually really delve into these characters, really break down like everything that's going on, and we're gonna really have I think by the end of this series, we're all gonna really love this character, man. And they definitely needed more like episodes versus just a 2 to 3 hour movie.
Yeah, this was definitely dope to break down the trailer and to realize that there's so much more into it, and it prepares us for the show. Like I feel like I'm more equipped to understand. And I feel like I'm more prepared to watch and look at the sceneries now, to look at every little detail to see which one is he, who is he. Because in the thing in the trailer we didn't understand anything, and that was dope. But now understanding it made it even more crazy. And it's like I can't wait to watch this trailer again now. And so knowing all this information, and now it's like I can't wait to see the first episode. And this is, like I said, this is one of the most intriguing and interesting characters in any superhero movie universe I've seen.
And what's dope to me too is that the fact that he broke down in the comics is various different forms of Moon Knight.
Yeah, in
depending,
itself.
depending on who was the one taking over. So that's gonna be dope to see, because I feel like the one that we see, the caped guy, he might be Mark Spector because he was more of the badass. You know what I'm saying? But like there's other versions of Moon Knight might be his other personalities taking over, and I wonder what kind of damage they do, if that's even the case. You know what I'm saying?
Because they had the one that suited up and shit like that.
Yeah.
But still in the silhouette. That was cold as hell.
I think those different variations of Moon Knight too also have different names aside from Moon Knight, and they also play different roles. Like they're like Moon Knight is more of the vigilante, and the dude with the suit is like a dude who actually works with the police and actually helps people out. Whereas they don't really fuck with the police. Don't really fuck with Moon Knight like that. Like, but I don't know. Those are the only 2 variations that I know of. I don't know if there's any other more variations of Moon Knight, but that's just
a lot of action. I can't
Good
wait for
job.
that. The fact you got multiple people that like Mark Spector. He's already before even in the silhouette. It seems like since he's a mercenary, you're gonna have moments that he's gonna go crazy, because we seen when he was in that cupcake truck. He was catching bodies in that shit. So I like how it's gonna be multiple dimensions of action.
I can't wait to see how this actor, how Oscar Isaac plays this role, because that's another thing that I think is super dope. He's gonna really just be switching personalities.
That's
like
how I know he's nasty, bro.
Yeah, so I think that's gonna be really dope to watch throughout this series. But man, shout out to the new rock stars, man. We'll be here for a lot more Easter eggs with y'all, man. Let us know how you rocked with this content here at RTTV. Just know March 30th we gonna be live, man. As soon as that drops, we'll be right here watching it. So if it's your first time here, definitely won't be your last. Make sure you kill, murder, and
Smash.
that subscribe button, man. I go by the name of DC Moon Knight Gang.
Yo, it's your boy Wells, the anime king, and honestly, I really feel like Moon Knight is the most exciting thing of the MCU coming up, bro. Like, for real.
Heavily anticipated Patrick RT.
It's a man, the myth, the maniac Wilkins _RT. Moon Knight over Batman?
Too early. I gotta
Sugar
watch it.
Rhapsody RT.
The man, the myth, the legend, 3 personalities, the original Moon Knight.
He got it from Moon Knight.
Wow. You learn some new shit every day, yo. And that settles it at
The Round Table.